Good morning, students. After a short break of 2 weeks, I think you must have seen the other two lessons for Standard 11th, last minute revision of Botany, Class 11, NCRT textbook, where about a flower it was told how the location of the flower, which we call as inflorescence, then terms like placentation, estivation, and the root system, all this was told, arrangement of leaf and all. But as you turn the pages of your book, you will see the other lessons are in little bit in detail to that of the previous one. Without wasting much time, I come to the third botany lesson of Standard 11th textbook, Anatomy of a Flowering Plant. Now this lesson will be divided into two parts. The first part I am telling today, and keep a notebook, your paper, pen ready with you, where you just write the points what I am telling, because this is a last minute revision. You have already read the lesson. I am just revising the lesson for you. And the first part of the video will be about the general outline of the lesson. The second part of the lesson will be about the monocot plant, the dicot plant, how the root, how the leaf and the stem with their internal organization are different in both the plants, dicot and monocot. Overall, a flower. So, first thing is, you should know a plant has three types of tissue system: the epidermal tissue system, the ground tissue system, and the vascular tissue system. Now, in epidermal tissue system, if you keep your NCRT book in front of you, you will see terms like meristematic tissue, primary tissue, secondary tissue, and then primary tissue plays a different role to that of a secondary tissue. The diagrams are given in your NCRT book. Okay, I'm telling you the theory part of it. Like, what first is, you should know what is epidermis, what it is made up of, what are the functions of epidermis, and its salient features. So the epidermis tissue forms the outermost covering of the plant body. First point, right? It is derived from the protoderm, a term called protoderm. Okay, then in various components which make the epidermal tissue, is one of them is stomata, a very important word. In 9th standard, you must have heard this word stomata, or even in your junior classes, what function it does: gaseous exchange, transpiration, photosynthesis. So where is this stomata found? It is found in this epidermal layer. Okay, now with the epidermal appendages. Now the word epidermis, you should all know, is the outermost protective layer of a plant body, right? The epidermal cells are elongated. They are compactly arranged to form a continuous layer. Second point. Next point is, what is the nature of these cells? These cells are parenchymatous in nature and they all are living. Basically, primary tissues are of three types: parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, right? And parenchyma tissues are, they form the main part of the whole plant, if you will see later on also. And here this parenchyma forms the epidermal layer and they are living. The cells possess a large central vacuole and a thin cytoplasm. Okay, and this which one, parenchyma, is thicker in a xerophytic plant, and the outside of the epidermis is covered with a thick waxy layer called the cuticle. Now why cuticle? Because this cuticle protects the plant and reduces the rate of respiration. It reduces the rate of transpiration, not respiration, transpiration. Okay. Now, and also these cutinized walls are less permeable to water. The impermeability depends upon the thickness of this cutin layer which is found in the plant body. Okay. Now the cuticles are absent in the roots, and the other substances deposited on the cuticles may be oil, resin, etc. Okay, this is about the epidermis. Now, what about the stomata? How do the stomata look like? The stomata looks like, this is how a stomata looks like. This is how a stomata looks like. Okay. Kidney shaped, if I take my hand like this, kidney shaped, bean shaped, they open, they close. They open, they close with the help of the guard cells which make it. Now this also you have done in your 10th standard, right? So the stomata, what are the stomata? They are the openings found in the epidermis of most of the aerial parts of the plants. Okay, now each stomata is composed of two bean-shaped cells, and these cells are called as the guard cells. Now the guard cells are generally much smaller in size as compared to the other epidermal cells. That's why they come and lie in the epidermal layer. Now the guard cells are surrounded by subsidiary cells, or also known as accessory cells. The guard cells have special elastic properties, like the adjoining cell walls of the two guard cells around pore are free and not attached with each other, right? And the properties help them to open and close, and that depends upon the content of water in them, how much they have water in them. And the whole thing, the stomatal aperture, the guard cells, and the surrounding cells together are called as the stomatal apparatus. If they ask you what is the stomatal apparatus, three things make a stomatal apparatus: the stomatal aperture, also called as stoma, the guard cells, and the surrounding subsidiary cells. When you will draw the diagram, you will see these three things together make the stomatal apparatus, right? So all this is found in the upper epidermis. Now the third part of the epidermis is the hairs. The hairs are also known as trichomes, epidermal trichomes. And the another thing is found on the epidermis is the prickles, also known as emergences. So the epidermis of most of the plants bears an outgrowth known as epidermal appendages or epidermal outgrowth. Okay, so three things I told you: structure of epidermis, what it is made up of, then the part of stomata, its structure, and third component of epidermis is the epidermal hair. After this comes what is the function of epidermal. Overall, if they ask you, give the function of epidermal tissue. The function of epidermal tissue. What is its function? It helps in gaseous exchange through the stomata. The presence of cuticle helps the reduction of evaporation of water, that is transpiration. Then the trichomes, which are found, they perform a useful function because they also help the plant to survive. Then next is, in some of the monocot plants, a special type of cells are found called as buliform cells, and they help in rolling and unrolling of the leaves. The rolling of the leaves in peak summer season helps them to reduce the leaf on their own roll up as per the amount of water vapor or moisture in the air. So this is done with the help of the buliform cells. Okay, this was the epidermal part of the plant. Now we come to the ground tissue, the middle part of which the plant is made up of. Now here you should make a flow chart of the 6 layers of which it is made up of. First is the hypodermis, second is the cortex, third is the endodermis, fourth is the pericycle, fifth is the medullary rays, sixth is the pith. This is all the middle part of the plant which the plant is made up of. Now these layers are arranged in this particular way. When you cut the transverse section of the stem, you will see this. If you do the practicals, you will see this, how they are arranged. Now what are the features of hypodermis? Hypodermis, I am telling. This is the region just below the epidermis, and it is the outermost part of the cortex. It consists of few cells which are discontinuous in nature, and it consists the cells of collenchyma and little bit of sclerenchyma, and the function is protective as well as mechanical. Next layer is cortex. Now the cortex is a thin walled, lies between the epidermis and endodermis. It consists of parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. The cortex is very distinct layer in dicot, but not as distinct in monocot. Okay, and the cells of the cortex contain starch, grains, oil, granules, and crystals. Okay. Now, sometimes the cortex cells also contains chloroplast, and they become photosynthetic, and we call them as sclerenchyma. Okay, and in hydrophytes, the plants growing in water, the cortex may be erenchymatous. Erenchymatous matlab the spongy tissue with large air spaces between them, and sometimes there are special type of cells like sclerates, oil ducts, and resin ducts. They are all found in this region of the cortex. So first was hypodermis, next is cortex. Third important internal layer is the endodermis, the bifurcating layer between what? The outer cortex and as we go deeper and deeper. This is the outermost layer of the cortex, that is endodermis. It is single layered, barrel shaped cells and without any intercellular spaces in them. They are only made up of parenchyma cells. There is no chlorenchyma, no erenchyma cells, only parenchyma cells. Okay, and a special type of band is found here known as the Casparian band. The Casparian band or the Casparian strip, and it is a very unique characteristics of the endodermis. A well-developed endodermis is present in all the types of roots, aerial stems, and woody dicot and gymnosperm. And it is a very, very characteristic feature of all these types where the endodermis is found. The endodermis helps to control the movement of water between the cortex and the vascular tissue, that is the xylem, and it also helps to maintain the root pressure, very important, and conducts water, and to conduct the water to the plant by ascent of sap. So this endodermis is playing quite an important role. Now next important two layers are after the endodermis is the pericycle and the medullary rays. Now pericycle is a single layer present between the endodermis and the vascular tissue. The pericycle is made up of parenchyma, and the pericycle is absent in roots and in some of the aquatic plants. Okay. After this we come to the medullary rays. These rays are found between the vascular bundles, and these originate from the apical meristem. Again, meristem is of two types: apical, intercalary, and lateral. Okay, and they serve as the function for transport. They help in transport of water, lateral transport of water. Next important part, anatomy, if we say, because the name of the lesson is anatomy of a flowering plant, is the pith, the central part. The central portion of the root and the stem is occupied by a pith. Now it contains parenchyma cells and sclerenchyma cells, and it leaves this ground tissue is parenchyma, and it processes chloroplast. Okay, what is the main function of pith? The pith serves as storage of food and water materials. Okay, so this was the sequential arrangement of the cells in the middle part. I repeat again: hypodermis, cortex, endodermis, pericycle, medullary rays, and the pith. In this way only you should make the flow chart. Next comes the vascular tissue system of the plant. Vascular tissue system of the plant means what? Whether they are arranged in a pattern, and this arrangement of pattern is given in three different ways. Now what are the two vascular tissues of the plant? In 9th standard you must have studied xylem and phloem. So the xylem helps in absorption of water and transport and movement of water across the plant, and the phloem helps in translocation, that is how the food prepared in the leaf is spread through the phloem and the components of phloem: sieve tube, companion cells, whichever is there, and in the xylem fibers, tracheid, vessels, if you remember all this, and ascent of sap. So the vascular bundle is a strand of conducting tissue which is composed of complex tissue, the xylem and the phloem. In dicots, cambium is present between the xylem and the phloem, and these tissues originate from the procambium and the apical meristem. Okay. Now the arrangement of xylem and phloem is a characteristic feature of the plants. However, some exceptions may be there. Now on the basis of the arrangement of the xylem and phloem in the vascular bundle, there are three types of bundle: radial, conjoint, and concentric. I am showing you the diagrams here. These are the diagrams here. The diagrams are shown here. Now what about radial? What we see in radial, the xylem and the phloem alternate with each other, and that's why, and they are made up of, and they are separated by a band of parenchyma. That is why we call it radial. The arrangement is radial, and it is mainly found in the roots. What is this conjoint? The xylem and the phloem are present together in the same bundle, and the conjoint bundles are again of two types: collateral, where the xylem and phloem are together in the same radius. The xylem lies inwards and the phloem lies outward. Now what happens in the dicot and the monocot? In dicot stem, the cambium is found between the xylem and the phloem. Such vascular bundles, because of the presence of cambium, possess the ability to form secondary xylem and phloem tissues. Hence, they are called open vascular bundles. Okay. Now, what about the monocots? In monocots, the cambium is absent, hence they do not form secondary tissues, and they are referred as closed vascular bundle. So, they will ask you the difference between open vascular bundle and closed vascular bundle. Difference between radial arrangement of vascular bundle and conjoint. In conjoint, it is collateral, and in collateral, it is different in dicot and different in monocot. The next one is bicollateral. Bicollateral means the conjoined vascular bundle with two groups of or patches of phloem and one on each side of the centrally located xylem. There are two patches of phloem along the centrally located xylem. That is bicollateral. One was collateral, one was bicollateral, and both of them come under conjoint. The third type is concentric. Concentric, that is a vascular bundle in which one tissue is completely surrounded by the other in form of a circle. And the concentric bundles are again of two types. So this was the basic arrangement of xylem and phloem. Diagrams are given in your NCERT book. So this much was just a small introduction to the lesson. Okay, and diagrams you will draw. After you draw the diagrams, you draw the flow chart. You follow this pattern, and in my next short video, I will tell you about this anatomy, these basic cells of which the plant is made up of, how the cells are different in a stem, in a root, and in a leaf. With this, I just end the small video and hope you have understood the description of the lesson with the basic part of the lesson and the tissues.